All right, we are here near Morris, Manitoba with Brunel Sabrin, location agronomist with Cargill. And we're here to talk about fall weed control. And Brunel, we're in a field that is bone dry. We're still seeing some perennial and well, mostly perennial weeds. Any tips for, like, do we still need to go in here and do a fall pass, or?
Well, right now we're in a situation where because we're being so dry, we have had probably half of our what we consider normal rainfall out in the last out of the last 6 years. This has been one of our driest on records. We're running into a lot of questions. You know, should we be doing anything for fall weed control to get ahead of the season for next year? We've had a really early season this year, but because it's been so dry right now, our conditions, really the top 2 inches are almost well, they're dry as a powder, and in our heavy clay soils we haven't had a whole lot of weed emergence following the crop. There's a little bit of volunteer canola that's come up in this field, but the frost seems to have taken care of it. Before winter wheat went in, a lot of guys were wondering if they should spray, so we were using glyphosates. Even some of the pre-harvest glyphosates that we were using, because the conditions were so dry, we really weren't seeing the performance we were hoping for out of the glyphosate. Some guys, like I mentioned, did it ahead of winter wheat seeding just to try to take care of any volunteer canola that might come up. At that time, you know, we were expecting that we would be getting showers eventually. Now we're pushing towards the end of September and still no appreciable rainfall, so yeah, it's been a real struggle to see. We really like to do a lot of fall applied glyphosate, especially the price lately has been, or you know, when you're looking at $3 to $4 an acre for a glyphosate application, it's a really cost-effective way of taking care of not only perennial weeds but also winter annuals that will be coming up, so we can get a really good jump start on the season next year.
Yeah. And I mean, we're looking around this field. You would think that we'd have winter annuals popping up by now, but we're not really seeing a lot of that. So.
No, and it's because it's been dry. It's more the perennials, but now we're coming off of 2 dry years, so our perennial problems, even though there's a little bit in this field, it's nothing like what it was when we were in a wet cycle, you know, the last 4, 5, 6 years.
Yeah. So I mean, well, we've got a couple shots of what is in this field. Is this still worth going in and controlling? I mean, we did talk about volunteer canola, which there's hardly any, but we do see some thistles and some wild oats and some other, which that's maybe they're tables, I don't know, surprising. But a couple perennials and some nasty weeds in here. Even though populations are low, should we still be going in there?
What we had in this field is this was Roundup Ready canola. So with Roundup Ready canola, you can put up to almost the full 360 grams active during the season in, you know, 2 what they call the Roundup equivalent liters, which would be 2 half-liter shots of the glyphosate original, 360 grams active, like I mentioned. And we have a lot of weeds here. Some of them are in pretty rough shape. There's a little bit of regrowth, but not very much. But there are some new growth coming that we might want to do something about. In talking to this particular producer, we had harrowed the field to try to get any kind of volunteer canola to germinate, and then also we were waiting for a shower to try to get some good regrowth to get an actively growing plant. As most know, glyphosate acts by inhibiting the amino acid production in the plant, so under dry conditions the plants are already throttling that back. They're not actively moving the ingredients or the glyphosate to the target sites or the growing points, so performance is greatly reduced. The other factor that we're running is because we haven't had much rainfall in the last 2 months is we've got very dusty conditions, and once the glyphosate touches a clay molecule, it binds to that clay molecule and it's not active for uptake into the plant. So again, the reason we were waiting for a shower. And in our area now, we've had a killing, well, somewhat of a killing frost, -3, -4 over this past weekend. So we've been 4 or 5 days now. So there might still be an opportunity here to get at some of these smaller thistles that are growing. They're still green. They seem to be doing okay with this cooler weather. Back in August, when it was 30 some degrees outside and very hot, you know, I would have questioned whether the best plan there probably would have been to wait.